That shit just a temporary solution to a permanent problem. Long as you
Lou got into some shit because you trying to break off from the fam. God.
Marvin, you on your own. We don't mean nothing to each other no more.
She expected me to say
What if the one person Rack has every reason to fear is actually the only person who can save her? That sounds impossible. After everything that's happened between Rack and Unique, most fans expect them to end up on opposite sides forever. Their history is filled with broken trust, power struggles, and personal betrayal. On paper, there's no reason these two should ever work together again. But Season 5 has quietly changed the landscape. The streets are shifting. New alliances are forming. Old enemies are becoming less predictable. And Rack is running out of options. That's why I think Unique's biggest comeback isn't about revenge. It's about survival. Because if the pressure surrounding Rack keeps growing, the only person capable of helping her may be the one she least expects. Let's break it down. One of the biggest changes we've seen in Unique this season is his mindset. Earlier in the series, he often approached conflicts with confidence and emotion. He believed he could outwork or outsmart anyone standing in his way. But Season 5 has humbled him. He's been forced to survive instead of dominate. He's had to protect the people closest to him instead of simply expanding his influence. That kind of experience changes a person. It forces them to think differently. Instead of asking, "How do I win?" they start asking, "How do I stay alive?" And those are two very different questions. One thing this season has made clear is that the old rules don't work anymore. The balance of power keeps shifting. New players are becoming more influential. Long-standing partnerships are being tested. Even experienced figures like Rack are finding it harder to control events. Unique understands this. He spent enough time in the game to know that surviving sometimes means adapting instead of fighting every battle. That's why I don't think his next move will be driven by pride. It'll be driven by practicality. Let's look at Rack's position. Her business is expanding, but so are the risks. Her family is becoming more independent. Kanan is making his own decisions. Marvin continues to act on emotion. Outside forces continue applying pressure. Every episode adds another challenge. The problem isn't that Rack can't solve one issue. It's that she's being forced to solve several at the same time. Eventually, even the strongest leader needs help. The question is, who can she actually trust? At first, the idea sounds ridiculous. Why would Unique ever help Rack? But here's why I think it's possible. Unique knows exactly how dangerous the streets have become. He understands the people they're dealing with. He knows what happens when power shifts too quickly. And unlike newer players, he's experienced enough to recognize when personal grudges become less important than survival. If a larger threat begins affecting everyone, old rivalries suddenly become much less important. Ironically, the reason Rack and Unique understand each other so well is because they've spent years competing. They know each other's strengths. They know each other's weaknesses. Most importantly, they know what the other is capable of. That kind of understanding can't be created overnight. Sometimes former rivals make surprisingly effective partners because neither side has unrealistic expectations. They already know exactly who they're dealing with. This is where I think many fans misunderstand the possibility of an alliance. I'm not saying Unique and Rack suddenly become close friends. That's not realistic. Trust like that doesn't magically return. What I'm saying is much simpler. Temporary partnerships happen when both sides benefit. If helping Rack also protects Unique's future, then working together becomes logical, not emotional, strategic. Another thing I've noticed this season is that Unique isn't rushing into unnecessary confrontations. He's thinking before acting, watching before reacting. That's growth. He's beginning to understand that timing matters just as much as strength. If he eventually steps back into the game, I don't think it'll be through a dramatic declaration. It'll happen quietly, one carefully chosen move at a time. The streets are changing, but experience still matters. Rack knows how to lead. Unique knows how to survive. Those are different skills. Right now, Rack may actually need someone capable of seeing problems from outside her own perspective. Unique has always viewed situations differently than she has. That difference could become valuable. Sometimes your former rival notices dangers your closest allies completely miss. Another reason this theory makes sense is Kanan. As Kanan becomes more independent, Rack's ability to influence him continues shrinking. Unique sees that too. He understands the next generation is beginning to shape the future of the streets. Whether he likes it or not, Kanan is becoming part of that future. If chaos continues growing around Kanan, even people with complicated histories may find themselves trying to prevent things from getting worse. Here's the biggest reason I believe this theory. Season 5 increasingly feels like it's moving beyond old rivalries. The real danger isn't necessarily Rack versus Unique anymore. It's the growing instability surrounding everyone. Business is changing. Loyalties are changing. Leadership is changing. When the environment itself becomes unpredictable, yesterday's enemy can unexpectedly become today's most useful ally. If Unique is going to make a major comeback, it shouldn't simply be about reclaiming territory. That would feel repetitive. A stronger comeback would show how much he's evolved. Instead of returning with anger, he returns with perspective. Instead of chasing revenge, he chooses a move that gives him the greatest chance to survive. Helping Rack at the right moment could accomplish exactly that. Not because he owes her anything, but because it serves a bigger purpose. Imagine a situation where Rack finds herself cornered. Business pressure, outside enemies, family problems. Too many threats arriving at once. Now imagine Unique recognizing that if Rack falls, the balance of power changes in ways that threaten everyone, including him. Suddenly, helping her isn't charity. It's self-preservation. That's the kind of decision experienced players make. So here's my prediction. I believe Unique's biggest comeback isn't about proving he's still dangerous. Everyone already knows he can survive. His real comeback will come when he proves he's become smarter. Instead of repeating old mistakes, he'll recognize that the streets are changing faster than anyone expected. Rack may continue trying to fight every battle on her own, but there may come a moment when she realizes she can't. And when that moment arrives, the last person she expects to stand beside her could be Unique. Not because they've forgotten the past, not because they've forgiven each other, but because they both understand something the younger generation is still learning. Sometimes survival requires putting pride aside. If Season 5 is building toward that kind of twist, then Unique won't return as Rack's greatest enemy. He'll return as the one person who understands exactly what she's up against, and the only one with the experience to help her navigate it. It wouldn't erase everything that's happened between them, but it would remind us of one of Raising Kanan's biggest themes. In the streets, today's rival can become tomorrow's ally when the stakes are high enough. And if that happens, Unique's comeback won't just change his own story. It could save Rack's.